What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the interwebs? This is a new show here at Multiplex, and I'm not usually going to be the normal host. The normal host who is actually competing today, and this is Nerdgasm, a debate show in the fandom realm of things. And today, I actually have some judges. I have Ryan, the Hunter Permison, and Eli, the Showman McCaig tonight as our judges and the competitors. This is going to be interesting because it is rivals, I guess you could say. Nico, Suave, Regoli, and Kaleb Koho. I don't know what to expect with these two, but it should be very interesting. Very interesting. Kaleb, this is your show, so I'm going to let you run down the rules real quick, even though you're competing.
Okay. So essentially, Nerdgasm is, Cain kind of explained it, a debate show in the realm of fandom where we take fandom topics, fandom eligible movies, and maybe eventually we'll fold in the fandom TV aspects of it, essentially just to cover the entirety of fandom to present kind of a debate show. And how it works is we're going to have two competitors in a 1v1 style debate forum, myself and Nico being those competitors for tonight. There's going to be 3 questions that we have been given to prep for debate as 3 rounds of regular debate. And then after that, we have speed round questions where it works is we have 20 seconds for individual starting arguments and about 15 seconds for rebuttal. And then those go until a competitor has reached 5 points total, which is the goal you're going for. So this match goes until someone has reached 5 points. So there's not really a time limit. There's just a score limit. So it's just like when you and your buddies play Call of Duty at midnight and you just want to see how many kills you can get average. But it's going to be fun. This is kind of how it works. Yeah, we're just kind of playing it fast and loose and having fun tonight.
All right, thanks, Caleb, for the more better explanation of the show tonight. And I want to go quickly to our judges who are not normal faces here at Multiplex, but they kind of are. I'm going to start today with the showman, Eli McCaig. I don't know like your debate background, but I figured you'd actually be a really cool person to actually have on the judging panel tonight. I'm not going to ask who you think's going to win, but where do you think this show can be with like just being a little bit different? I don't know. I really don't even know. Just what's your thoughts?
I think this could be a very good show in the future. Like for people who aren't really good in trivia and really don't really care that much about trivia, if they care more about debating, they could be a part of this show and just debate whether, let's say, Man of Steel is better than Superman Returns. If they want to debate which of the 2 Superman movies are better.
I know exactly what question we're putting in Ryan's match.
But I mean, like, this could be a good show for people that really could care less about trivia, and probably if their records aren't great in fandom fights, they can come to Nerdgasm and do a whole lot better in Nerdgasm than in fandom fights. So I'm really looking forward to this match. I'm looking forward to the future of Nerdgasm. And yeah, I'm excited to judge this, and I hope to someday be a competitor because I love debating. I have conversations with my friends about what could potentially be happening. I love pitching stories as well. So one of the questions deal with, like, spoiler, it deals with pitching something. So I love that idea.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely going to be something interesting. And the pitching aspect can be very cool, especially with some of the people that we have in the realm of multiplex. I can't wait to actually see, like, to pick people's brains about certain things. I know both of these people here today are very creative minds. So when we get to that pitching aspect of this show, they might really come up with some really cool topics. But I have another judge here. He's a very familiar face in the fandom realm. Ryan, the Hunter Permison. Yeah, you love to talk. Is this something that you would be interested in the future? Because you have some serious hot takes. I feel like if you do Nerdgasm, you have the hot takes, Ryan.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, of everybody we've seen in these movie trivia leagues or debate leagues, what have you, I'm probably the one who's got the hottest takes in the business. So I'd be more than happy to throw my name in there and do some debating on a future episode of this particular series or another series one day. I'm more than happy to do it. I'm happy to be here. And Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I've had kind of an uneven day, so I think a good movie debate from these two competitors is just what I need to perk me right back up. I got a brand new thinking cap on here, so I'm ready to style and profile, and I'm ready to get to some judging.
Back, and we do have an extra spectator today. We're going to try to keep him on the minimum because he loves to have his own voice. And originally, he was the original competitor, Jim the Wolf Green, because that would have been very fun to watch. But for some reason, he decided to play Madden instead of debate. But with that being said, we have Kaleb, we have Nico, and we're going to get to our very first debate question, which the question comes from something very close to their hearts. What is the best comic book movie that stars Jeffrey Dean Morgan, or like that he's in? Because he doesn't actually star in like any of them. So I'm going to start with the man who was even closer to his heart, Jeffrey Dean Morgan himself, Kaleb Koho.
Oh, that sick burn. Okay, so when it comes to Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I had to think about the best comic book. I thought about two different routes. Either taking the best comic book movie that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is in route, or the best performance from Jeffrey Dean Morgan in a comic book movie route. And then I realized they're one and the same because there's only one answer to this question, and that's Watchmen. Zack Snyder's Watchmen is, especially the director's cut, is a masterpiece of a film. I think it's easily his best that he's made. And one of the best parts of Watchmen, even if you don't like the film, one of the best parts of the movie is Jeffrey Dean Morgan's performance as the comedian, or Edward Blake. He is so exuberant, and like every scene he's in is just eye-catching and stealing with his performance and how he presents himself on screen. The movie itself is also very good because it takes the noir aspects of the original Watchmen comic and translates them to the screen in a very visual way that emulates Dave Gibbons' art, and the dialogue feels,
and that is time,
exactly like Alan Moore's. But that's my opening argument. I'll talk about it later.
All right, so now I'm going to go to the Cosmic Night Fury, the man who does not like Jeffrey Dean Morgan at all, Nico. What is the best comic book movie that features Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Okay, so the semantics of this question led to my answer, which is The Losers. I picked The Losers because it's not Watchmen and because it's not Batman v Superman. The Losers is a fun, pretty short 90-minute movie that just gives you a whole bunch of action, a lot of laughs from Chris Evans, who has some of the funniest dialogue I've ever heard from any of his roles in past movies. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan, you get to see him play the straight man, and he does a pretty good job of it too. Zoe Saldana is also in this movie. She's entertaining. It's just a fun bit of action for 90 minutes to keep you going. And I feel like I have more negative things to say about the movie Watchmen.
All right. So we can get to our essentially rebuttals in the actual debate part right here. I'm going to start with Kaleb, and you guys can actually debate now.
Okay. So what I'm going to say about The Losers is the best part about your movie is that it is short, and it only takes about 90 minutes of my time with its nonsense. The thing about The Losers is, look, it's admittedly an all right time, but Jeffrey Dean Morgan is not the person I immediately associate with that movie. I immediately take to Chris Evans, who has the best parts of the dialogue.
So this question, it's the best movie that he is in, based on the comic. Whereas with Watchmen, 3 hours long, I feel tired by the end of the movie, so much so that I can barely remember what happened in the first hour when I get to the third hour, because I'm like, I need a drink. I need an energy drink. It's just...
Okay, but by saying best movie, The Losers is not even in the top, 2 spots for that movie, because when it comes to it, The Losers is not witty. It's not energetic, as you say. It's just about these people who got burned by a guy and they have to go kill him. When I'm watching Watchmen, Watchmen is better because it's visually striking, it's engaging, it's an intellectual story, and all the characters. If you want to talk about your cast, let's talk about my cast. I have Patrick Wilson, who plays a really good Clark Kent, aka Night Owl type character. You also have Malin Ackerman, who plays a really solid Silk Spectre, who has good chemistry. Billy Crudup plays his best performance ever as Dr. Manhattan. And you also have one of the best comic book movie performances of all time in Jackie Earle Haley's Rorschach, who is easily one of the top characters in film. So if you're not even going to talk about the Jeffrey D. Morgan performance, which is easily top 2 from Watchmen, we have to talk about how good the movie is.
Doesn't he rape?
No, he does not. That is a common misconception by people who don't watch the movie, like you. He attempts it. It does not make his character good, though.
Yeah,
it doesn't make his character a good guy. That's what I like about. That is what I like about his.
Because it was so damn long, so much of a drag. I just couldn't get it's
okay,
so
but I like
everything when it's that long.
I like his character because he's not a hero. He is an anti-hero. He is a flawed individual and a human. Whereas in The Losers,
he's
not even the straight man. When you said that the straight man is the only thing he plays, you mean he has no character or anything reduced to a cameo like he's in Batman v Superman. He has a cameo in Batman v Superman, and in The Losers, he is playing watered down Negan. He's playing watered down Negan in The Losers. The Walking Dead did it better. And when you get to Watchmen, watch Watchmen, he has a much better character because he is allowed to act and do a lot more in Watchmen.
Brute. Morgan's character in The Losers is a compassionate-hearted man. He put his own he put the safety of like 25 children ahead of his own and put them on the helicopter.
In The Walking Dead, Negan does the same for his own people. It's all about a matter of perspective. The thing about his performance and the movie Watchmen as a whole is that it is a lot more of a movie that is grounded. It's a lot more of a cohesive story. The Losers just feels like
it's grounded about a man in an owl suit with a blimp. What is grounded about a glowing
grounded in the terms of dark, gritty?
What is grounded about
what was going for? And the thing about Watchmen is that the story, sure, the director's cut is 3.5 hours long. The actual theatrically released movie is about 2 hours and 20, I believe. But like,
that's another flaw it has. It has the Zack Snyder problem of needed an extended cut.
No, it does not need the extended cut. That's a common misconception. The extended cut improves upon the movie by giving you more of the movie that you are already loving. Whereas the 2 hours and 40 minutes part of the movie still works.
You need to fit in.
It's all about the additional. Have you read Watchmen? Watchmen, the book is massive. It is a massive book with a lot of information and a lot of plot lines. And the 3.5 hour movie is the one that I prefer because I get all of it. But Zack Snyder, in his theatrical cut, does a really solid job of taking the important parts and fitting it in, telling a cohesive, good story and making a good visual movie.
All right, so I'm going to go to closing arguments. Caleb, you're going to get 1 minute starting now.
Okay, so Watchmen is easily the best thing that Zack Snyder has made. It's visually striking. The story is very deep and intellectual, and it comments on the nature of superhero movies as well as humans and society. Every performance is very memorable and outstanding. Every costume, every instance of this movie is spot on, feels like it's very true to the source material, whereas The Losers, based on the comic book of The Losers, is not very true to the material at all. The Losers are a 40s band of soldiers that fight in World War II. The modern day adaptation of the movie takes only the name of the material and slaps it on a bunch of people that I don't care about, on a bunch of big name actors that get a little few things to do. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan is not even my favorite part of the movie you're talking about. The best movie with Jeffrey Dean Morgan is hands down Watchmen because of the direction, the visual style, the performances. Everything about that movie screams excellent, whereas The Losers is utterly forgettable.
All right, and now Nico. Closing argument starting now.
Watchmen is even more forgettable because it's 3 hours long. You're giving me so much information to process in this gigantic span of time that how the hell am I supposed to remember everything? If you want Chris Evans delivering some of the best dialogue he's ever been given, watch The Losers. If you want Idris Elba playing a complex individual turncoat character, watch The Losers. If you want someone with a blue dick just swinging around for 3 hours straight, watch Watchmen. If you want Malin Ackerman struggling to move around in a very tight latex bodysuit, which she has complained about in various tabloids, go watch Watchmen. It's just like The Losers is easy to process. It's a good time. There's just too much going on in Watchmen for it to be a good film. And again, the semantics of the question, it's the best comic book film with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And if Watchmen needs an extended cut when it's already 3 hours long for its theatrical length, I don't think it's good. It's the best.
Nico. All right. So that was your guys' opinion. We had Watchmen versus The Losers, and a very interesting debate because from Kaleb, he was giving me a lot of plot points on why he thought Watchmen was better. And then Nico was like, well, you got, Chris Evans doing really good and Idris Elba really good. So personally, I think I'd rather hear some more plot points from Nico being like, this is why The Losers is the best film, or, he brought up quickly like the rape scene from Watchmen. But I feel like if he would have just dug more into like some of the flaws in Watchmen, which I believe there's a lot. Eli, what's your opinions on it right now?
I feel like Kaleb did really go hard on the plot points of The Losers, and he made Watchmen. He made his argument against The Losers and for Watchmen more well-rounded. While Nico's main complaint against The Watchmen was it's just too long. And to me, that wasn't really a strong argument because Kaleb was able to refute that and say, well, it could be long, but it has a better plot than The Losers, when Nico really wasn't refuting the fact of, no, it does have a good plot, and this is why. It was mainly just, no, my movie's fun, The Losers is fun because it's 90 minutes. Your movie's boring because it's 3 hours. So, in my opinion, I feel like Kaleb really this is a point for Kaleb.
All right, so we have 1 point for Kaleb for The Watchmen. And my marker is dying. That sucks. All right, so I'm just going to go to Ryan next because he has some hot takes. I definitely want to get hot takes a chance to talk.
Well, yeah. After hearing the debates, hearing the arguments, and hearing what my fellow judges brought up, I will say that Kaleb did make the stronger argument in this case, and I know Nico put up the best, kind of points, whether it be about the plot or the characters or the actors, more specifically the cast members of The Losers in this case, and that's all well and good. But I just feel like Kaleb delved a little bit more, deeper with his points, and I felt Nico just kind of like stayed here on the surface. He tried to dig a few inches below ground, but it just didn't quite reach that far. So in this case, I would have given the point to Kaleb, even though outside of this, between the two movies, there is one film I enjoy more than the other, and I don't think it's Watchmen.
Yeah, I have. Even though it's already decided, Kaleb has won this round. I have to say I am not a fan of Watchmen at all. But I feel like Kaleb's arguments were a lot better on why Watchmen was the superior film.
I do just want to say very quickly that when Nico brought up the extended cut part, I was happy because I threw in the theatrical, and then he goes right back to saying it as if I had not said the point earlier. I was like, oh, okay. I see.
Look, this is the one argument I put the least amount
of. That's totally fine. I'm actually excited to hear what you have next because I know how creative you are.
All right. But yeah, so essentially Kaleb has won this round, and he's now on the board with 1 point because he said Watchmen is better than The Losers as the best Jeffrey Dean Morgan thing, and hopefully after today, the Jeffrey Dean Morgan thing will die.
Please.
This was it. This is the end. Now it's Todd Phillips.
Yes. All right.
No one has seen that match yet.
Yes, it is. It's up. It's been up for 2 weeks. Anyway, or 1 week. I don't know.
But yeah, before I go to the next one, I kind of want to get like the audience's thought. Jim, what is your thoughts on the best movie starring Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Those judges this round, that was just an excellent round of judging by the judges. They spoke all truths, and their votes were absolutely correct. There was no bias there. Good job, judges. You have more rounds but don't screw it up. I am watching. I'm here and I'm watching. Judges.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. So the next question is going to be in the realm of something Jim is very familiar with, the Phantom TV aspect of it. For those who don't know, Ruby Rose has been cast to play the character of Batwoman in the next year's crossover event, which is actually this year. So this year's crossover event between the Arrowverse shows, which is pretty exciting because we're also going to see the first time of Gotham in the appearance of the Arrowverse. So that's why I want these competitors to pitch an Arrowverse crossover And I'm going to start with Nico this
I have a
time.
question very quickly before we start. Are we
Yes.
going to take longer than a minute for our intro? Because we do need to pitch it, and taking a minute to pitch it is going to be a little difficult.
Just try to
I'll try,
try
but
to pitch it, and then you can go more in depth.
I
after.
understand that part. I'm saying getting the basic pitch out.
Yeah.
Is might take a little more than
Word
a minute. That's all.
efficiency, Coho. It's about word efficiency.
Yes.
Don't worry, I know all about it. Don't worry.
Coho's first 30
Bring us
seconds is
back
going to
in.
be, hey, wait, look at the think about this. Think about this. How am I supposed to do this in a minute, Cain?
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Cain,
Counting us
if
back
you
in.
want, when we
Go ahead.
Cain, when it's 4 minutes, I'll hold up. Or like whenever it gets to a whole number of minutes, I'll hold up my finger.
Okay,
saying
that's fine.
That's where we're at.
All right, that's
All
fine.
right.
All right, so counting us back in 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, so I'm going to start this time with the Cosmic Night Fury, a man who is very familiar with the Arrowverse. Nico, what is your pitch for the Arrowverse crossover and a future Arrowverse crossover event?
Okay, so I've set this in the season after this coming one, and the storyline I'm going with is an adaptation of Blackest Night. So it starts off with Chip, the Green Lantern squirrel-like creature. He is on space exploration, and he stumbles upon the Black Lantern power battery. He touches it and accidentally activates it, and suddenly a man by the name of William Hand wakes up on Earth in the graveyard of his childhood home, and he kills all of his family, then himself, and he's resurrected as the first Black Lantern, a servant of Necron. This is right out of the comics. Cut to Team Arrow, Team Flash, the Legends, Kara, Alex, Brainiac 5, John, Leo Snart, and the Ray from Earth X. They're all gathered on Earth 1 for a Halloween party, and suddenly Ganthet, the Guardian, the little blue Guardian from the Green Lantern mythos, he crashes through the ceiling, and that's when shit starts to go down. They see all these zombies of people they know from past years wearing Black Lantern rings, and they're like, we're outmatched. So they go to recover, but they, even with their recovery time, it doesn't work out well for them. Several people die. Lots of people die. Ganthet is only able to recover 7 people with him to save, and they're all dealing with emotional issues as a result of all the death they've seen. Too much to explain in 1 minute.
Don't worry, I gave you 30 extra seconds.
Still not enough time.
Come on, Judge.
All right, now we are going to go to Kaleb to pitch his Arrowverse crossover event.
Okay, so what I want to do with the Arrowverse is a lot less cosmic and a lot more personal. What the issue I've seen with the Arrowverse in the past is we get a little too bloated with extra episodes, and I want to bring it back a little bit more focused on character and find a good way to introduce Batwoman by bringing all the characters into a position that also brings in another character that I want to see, which is Batman. And that's why I'm finding an adaptation of Batman, Superman, Public Enemies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce us in the Arrowverse to the Public Enemies storyline happening using Lex Luthor, Batman, sort of in an off-screen capacity, which also in turn brings Batwoman into the Arrowverse, as all these heroes are now being commissioned by the government, by Lex Luthor, who I believe is president during the storyline at the time, to capture Batman and Superman, which now Superman already exists. So we can actually have Superman show up and not have it be a bit too outlandish to have Superman show up. But I feel like this would be a good way, as we now have Batwoman, who is an ally of Batman, now forced in the position to bring in the man who trained her, the person that she looks up to. And also this brings her in with the rest of the Arrowverse in an interesting way, as they now have this dynamic of there's a big time vigilante that we thought was a myth that we have to bring down because he was helping Superman. And it's kind of I think it'd be a big way, a nice way to introduce everyone in a political sort of more nuanced, character-driven way.
All right. I think there's only one way to say this now, and that is let them fight.
Okay.
All right. Here's
okay. I'll let you start because I talked first last time. I'll let you go ahead. Then I'll destroy your pitch here, real nice and clean.
Okay. First up, you want to introduce Batwoman in the Arrowverse using Batwoman. They're already planning to introduce Batwoman into the Arrowverse, specifically Earth 38, which is where Supergirl lives. They're planning to do that without Batman. And the fact that you need Batman shows a problem that I've had with DC for a long time, which is that they are very reliant on Batman. They can't.
I'll say this right now, though. I don't need Batman. I am planning this as Batwoman has existed already. I'm doing this because this is a cool way to bring in the entire aspect of Gotham when we haven't seen it already. Let me just talk about Blackest Night for a second. The reason why Blackest Night would never work is because the Green Lanterns don't exist.
Gotham don't need Batman to introduce Gotham. They've been able to do it with a young Bruce Wayne, not Colin.
But Gotham sucks. Gotham sucks because young Bruce Wayne is awful. Why do we need young Bruce Wayne?
So it's been proven that you don't need Batman to introduce Gotham into the mix.
Yes, you do. It is proven more hardcore than anything.
No,
that Gotham is not good without Batman. The show has gotten good because they finally introduced Batman as Bruce Wayne starting to act like Batman, and Gotham has since gotten good. I'm not saying Batman is a necessary part of Batwoman. I'm saying we have introduced Batwoman already. I'm saying we've already introduced Batwoman. That's a character that we've already met. And when we get to the Arrowverse crossover, we don't need to explain who Batwoman is to the audience, but we need to introduce who she is to the rest of the Arrowverse. And what better way to do that than to have a big event that brings Supergirl in with Batwoman? And they are introduced because both of the central figures that are influential and important to their life are in trouble.
It's already going to be the focus of the crossover that's happening next. So they don't need Batman to do it. They don't need Batman to do it. Me, I'm actually building more onto.
No, yours is freaking ridiculous. Why did you pick a squirrel? Not the best Green Lantern at all. You picked a squirrel Green Lantern that no one knows to find a Black Lantern box that we have never heard of. We have never seen the Green Lanterns once. There's never been a mention of the Green Lanterns once. That is not a thing that exists, okay? And not only that, you are doing one of the most hokiest TV things I've ever heard. This is going to take place on Halloween. This is going to be one of the most cliched crossovers I've ever seen. And then it feels too much like if it's going to happen on Halloween and it's going to adapt the Death Blackest Night thing, it feels too forced, too contrived, I've kind of seen a hokey thing like this before. And then Batwoman shows up in the middle of that and it's like, of course, now we can make jokes about all the superheroes dressing up in costumes on Halloween. But then you're also going to kill people. You're going to already suffer too many tonal differences.
You didn't hear what I said, because this is already set 1 year after this next crossover. So Batwoman is already a thing in this universe. So I'm bringing all these guys together.
Okay, but again, Batwoman might exist. Batwoman might exist, but the Green Lanterns don't. That's my biggest thing. You're dumping the whole Green Lantern core mythos. You're dumping the Black Lanterns, things that we don't know, have never experienced before, on us in the middle of nowhere, no explanation, in order for us to believe it. You're literally throwing Chip, a squirrel Green Lantern, as a cosmic being who discovers a Black Lantern box that brings people back from the dead and then kills a bunch of people on Halloween, which already feels hokey as a tonally comedic, this is a Halloween, we're all superheroes dressed up, no zombie thing. And then you're on top of it, gonna tonally kill a bunch of people and not bring them back, which right there is a tonal indifference.
Let me stop you right there. Imagine the emotional stories that can be told with just like simple facial expressions of.
Yes, but why are you doing it on Halloween in what could be the most hokiest cliched thing? It feels too comedic while you're going for something dramatic. You need to change a few things up in your pitch in order for it to give it, but you can't do that because you've already given your idea and your pitch. Sure, it can be yours and maybe work, but I'm saying the one that I've got, the reason why mine works is because we've already met Superman. Supergirl and Batwoman are characters that we should be introduced to, that the whole world needs to be introduced to, and bringing them all together would be a cool way because Public Enemies, one, is a really good underutilized story that brings in every single person in the DC universe that is a ground level hero. That is a ground level hero.
I've heard of Blackest Night.
Blackest Night, however, is too cosmic to drop on people when they haven't been introduced to a single lantern, not even in mention or passing. And when it comes to Public Enemies, we can also leave the door open to introduce Batman, who's not integral. He doesn't have to show up once. All we need to do is mention that Batman is here, and it leaves the door open for Batman to show up. What it does is it brings Batwoman, Supergirl, and all these heroes together in a big.
All right, so I'm cutting you guys off here.
Hold on. Sorry, hold on.
No, I'm cutting you off.
I'm cutting you off here.
You guys are getting. You're getting your rebuttal, and I want your rebuttal to be how this connects to the Arrowverse.
Okay, can I
How
start
does it
then?
connect to the Arrowverse? And I'll start with you. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I was saying was this connects to the entire Arrowverse because it puts them in a situation where they have to like fight each other in a sense and have different conflicting political views that deepen and enrich every single character in a political sort of thriller way that would be reminiscent of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when everything switched and changed in the Hydra switch and in the Winter Soldier switch. It's a way to shake up the Arrowverse in a way that we haven't seen, and it connects because every single character that would appear has already appeared, and with Batwoman already being introduced, Batman is inherently introduced already because it's Gotham, it's Bat characters, and Superman already exists. This would be a way to introduce Batman into the universe in a cool way without necessarily needing to, at least giving you the promise that the character could show up. The reason why yours doesn't work is because the Green Lanterns have never been introduced, referenced, or even discussed in your show, and you want to drop the biggest Green Lantern lore story on them, which is easily one of the deepest Green Lantern stories that they've ever written, and you're going to condense it into CW form, where they're going to kill these people and then find a way to bring them back from different Earths on Legends. It's not going to hold any weight because that's what CW does.
All right. Nico, this is where you can talk about how the Blackest Night storyline will pretty much be connected to the Arrowverse, strictly focusing on Arrowverse, guys.
Imagine the impact of seeing a zombified version of H.R. Wells, and you are Cisco Ramon, and you see one of your best friends suddenly a zombie right before they eat you. Imagine the impact of seeing Martin Stein as a zombie, and you are one of the members of Team Flash or the Legends right before they eat you and convert you into a Black Lantern themselves. Imagine the rage of Kara Zor-El having watched all her loved ones, all her friends, turned into these Black Lanterns and then being given a Red Lantern to harness all that rage. Imagine someone like Barry trying to find all the hope when there is none after seeing his family, his friends, turned into zombies, and then he's given the blue ring of hope. Imagine Iris trying to just find the love where there is so little left, and she is given the Star Sapphire ring. Ray Palmer being given the Indigo ring of compassion, empathizing with all these people.
All right. So I have a lot of thoughts, and I want to start first, and I definitely want to go to Eli next, just because I know this man has tons of Arrowverse knowledge. One thing I wish Nico would have brought up is that they have referenced the at least Hal Jordan a couple times. They go to Ferris Air all the time in The Flash, and on Flash Earth 2, when Barry's talking to his Earth 2 family, there is a phone that says Hal on it, referencing Hal Jordan. This was never brought up, so sadly I cannot count it against.
Remember from like several seasons of several shows.
I'm sorry, like I'm saying, I wish you would have brought it up because that would have been some serious points towards your argument. And my biggest thing about Kaleb is outside of Supergirl, he didn't say a single Arrowverse character. Not one. So that I think will have some big impacts. And after that, I think strictly on the fact that this is something supposed to be connected to the Arrowverse, and the only person that he is connected to that has aired so far is Supergirl. He never mentioned Green Arrow. He never mentioned the Flash. He briefly mentioned the Legends, but he never talked about the Arrowverse as a whole. And that's why I got to give a point to Nico on this. And I'm going to go to a man who at one point could have been the Arrowverse champion, Eli McCaig. You know way more about the Arrowverse than even me, and I want to know what your opinion on this.
I do have to agree with you. I really wish Nico would have brought up the mentions of how Jordan, the Ferris aircraft, sort of like how they have set up groundwork of potentially there could be Green Lanterns, but since he didn't mention those, I can't give him points for that. And the thing about Kaleb's argument is, even though he said that Batman wouldn't have to appear, he seemed like this argument was very much, this is a way to mention Batman. It seemed he was driving very heavily on the Batman point, and a part of me is like, well, as of right now, Batman's not important to the Arrowverse.
And I brought that up.
Yeah,
No,
and you did, and
he didn't.
And I'm giving it, but it's like but Kaleb was going very heavy about, oh, Batman. I'm like, Batman really doesn't matter in the Arrowverse right now because he's never appeared. And also when he brought up the stuff like, oh, but they did an Agent Shield and how they're doing it and how they sort of did there, and it's sort of like, yeah, it's already been done. I don't want to see it again.
No, I said
And then
it was
when it
like.
came, I know,
Let
and you
Nico
said
just
that.
talk.
It's like I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see a similar story like that again. But when it came to connecting to the actual Arrowverse, I think Nico, when it came to certain plot points, he mentioned different characters and how it could affect those characters. When it came to giving rings to characters, he actually mentioned which specific characters would get rings, whereas Kaleb really just mentioned Batwoman and Supergirl and Batman. He didn't really affect, like, oh, this is how it would affect this character, and this is sort of how it would affect this character. So to me, I'm wanting to give the point to Nico. To me, Nico gets the point.
Yeah, I think something, Ryan, I'm going to get to you in a second. I think something that would have been really cool is if he would have done the Public Enemies and it would have been strictly revolving around Batwoman and Supergirl, and they essentially take the Batman and Batwoman, the Batwoman and Superman spot, and then the rest revolves around of how like it affects the Arrowverse as a whole. I think that would have been really cool. But again, it was not mentioned. He had it strictly revolving around Batman and Superman, but it was like, oh, well, they're in there too. So I want to go to, it's already been decided that.
Sure. Yeah, it's like, sure, we've had Superman, but we haven't had Batman. And just assuming that Batman is there, it's sort of like, but he's never been shown. I don't care.
And yet, Nico did an entire storyline based on Green Lanterns that don't exist yet. But anyway.
But they have been referenced.
Hal Jordan's been referenced, but the Lanterns themselves have not appeared or been referenced.
There was.
And he's also.
All right.
No more arguing. No more debating. No more debating.
Yeah, no more. It's been done. It's already been decided that Nico has been given a point. And I want to give to Ryan, like, what were your thoughts on this thing? Where would you have gone?
Well, clearly, I don't know as much about this particular television universe as you guys do, because I dropped some of these shows like a bad habit because they just dipped down in quality, or I didn't, or Jimmy Crack Corn, I didn't care, or I missed the last 2 episodes of this past season of Legends, but that's neither here nor there because that was my favorite show. Well, favorite of that universe. Yeah, I kept hearing Batman from Kaleb, and I'm like, okay, dude, we get it. Batwoman and Batman are mentee and mentor. Okay, we get it. But I will say, though, Nico mentioned a couple other characters and how what if this alternate version of a character or if a zombified version of a certain character appeared, how would that affect you emotionally, and how would it affect the storyline going forward with Arrowverse and whatnot. So, yeah, now that I think about it a little bit more, I probably would have given the point to Nico, even though I like, to a certain extent, I like Kaleb's idea a little more. But then again, Nico delved into more detail with certain characters and how they would be affected and what they should be doing going forward. So it was a pretty good argument, no question about it. Which, you know, if I ever have any desire to go back into the Arrowverse, which is probably not, but if I do, I'll be sure to look for those references. You know, or whatever. But that was a good debate, guys. Nice one.
I will say, like, another thing I had written down on my phone was, why were we talking about Gotham for a solid minute?
Because it's a good show. That's why.
But yeah, so Nico got the point, and we are going to our next question, the final of the ones where they have actually prepped for it. And that is the best Star Wars prequel film. We're only counting episodes 1, 2, and 3, not Rogue One or Solo, even though they're technically prequels.
I would have picked Rogue One if it was eligible, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah. So I started with Nico last time. We're going to start with Kaleb. You're going to get 1 minute to debate your things. And I know I avoided Jim because I felt like he was not going to agree with us. So Jim, you can be mad. I know. But we're going to start with Kaleb on what is the best Star Wars prequel film, starting now.
I'm very confident I know what Nico's pick is going to be, and I'm going to have a fun time in the rebuttal phase. But what I'll say is my pick is Revenge of the Sith. And that's, a lot of people say cliched option, but here's the thing. I genuinely believe Revenge of the Sith is one of the better Star Wars movies simply because of the narrative it tells. It tells the story of betrayal. It tells a story of friendship loss. It tells a story of status quo shift about how everything you believe is not what it was or how you perceive it. It's about of a lot of different themes, and it actually makes you care and relate to the character of Anakin Skywalker in a way that the other 2 movies horribly failed at, and it does it better than the other 2. There's a lot of other side characters that are also really solid and really awesome introductions, including Obi-Wan Kenobi, who I think has a really solid arc. General Grievous, who gets introduced and is easily one of the coolest parts of Star Wars lore. There's a lot of epic battles on a lot of different planets. And, of course, Order 66, which is one of the most awesome emotional sequences I've seen in the Star Wars franchise, with a lot of character deaths. And I'll get back to it more later.
All right, and Nico, you know a thing about Star Wars, at least we think you do. Case might say otherwise. Your minute to talk about the best Star Wars prequel episodical film.
The Phantom Menace is a ridiculously underrated film. It has the best lightsaber battle in the history of all of Star Wars. It has one of the best sword fights in all of movies, according to WatchMojo.com. It also has the best score to accompany a lightsaber battle. It introduces several of the characters that we love today. 6 in particular. You got Qui-Gon Jinn, Padme Amidala, Maul, who is one of the most complex characters in all of Star Wars as he's been brought back in the Clone Wars, in Rebels, in Solo. That you can't get enough Maul. The other characters like Quinlan Vos, Aurra Sing, even Jar Jar Binks, who in my opinion gets heavily redeemed in the 6th season of the Clone Wars and then suffers a tragic end to his arc in one of the books that were released after Disney bought the company. You get a lot of great acting that I don't feel you get in Revenge of the Sith. I feel like a lot of characters are better used in this movie.
Okay. In rebuttal phase now, I'm going to start with this. Your movie, you said lightsaber about 30 times in your intro. You have a good lightsaber fight, but mine is better because the Mustafar battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan has no. Let me finish. Let me finish. Has emotional weight.
One of them
the battle with Obi-Wan and Anakin has
lightsaber battles, and the majority of them are just all twirling around. Only
what do you think yours is?
The 5 lightsabers
doing side flips for 5 minutes. Okay,
only 3 of the lightsabers have real people in them. The other 2 have computer-generated people in them.
Obi-Wan and Anakin's lightsaber fight on Mustafar has more emotional weight than any beat in your movie. The Revenge of the Sith battle on Mustafar is about a brother versus a brother fighting over ideologies that it manifests itself physically. It is a difficult scene and it's easily one of the best lightsaber fights. But on top of the lightsaber fights, there's complex emotional themes throughout the movie, and actually very good acting performances out of Ewan McGregor, out of Mace Windu, out of Ian McDonald. Your movie has. You want to talk about good acting in your movie? Are you an angel? Are you an angel? Jake Lloyd is one of the worst parts of your movie, and you say good acting. It also introduces Jar Jar Binks, who, when you said is a redeemed character.
Also, your movie reduces Natalie Portman to a plot device. She is basically there.
Your movie did it worse. Your movie did it worse than mine.
Not only does Natalie Portman's character of Padme Amidala have depth in my movie, she actually has depth in the form of 2 different characters, if you think about it. She plays both. We have the character that Natalie Portman plays of Padme the hand servant, and we have Keira Knightley's portrayal of her bodyguard, Decoy.
You're calling Keira Knightley's performance layer and
has Liam fucking Neeson in it. Your movie does not.
Liam Neeson is wasted in your movie. Your whole problem is that you waste so much time on Jar Jar Binks.
Your movie wasted General Grievous. General Grievous is the biggest fucking pussy in the history of Star Wars movies.
And that's a part of his character. He's very well written in the way of being a cowardly general. The thing about your movie, you say best acting, and you said best lightsaber fight, but it has neither of those things, Nico. It has no good acting. Maybe one good performance out of Qui-Gon Jinn's Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn, and Darth Maul is cool, but you kept hitting on these characters are great in the future in other movies. You introduced characters who are going to be good in the future, but in the movie that they are in,
and
they are wasted. They are not done good.
General Grievous was not that great in the now of Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, then throw General Grievous out.
Was not great in the now of Revenge of the Sith.
Nico, you have Order 66, one of the biggest pieces of lore. You have Anakin's performance, which is actually the best of the 3. Anakin's best performance is in the 3rd movie. That's when you get the best version of Anakin. You get.
By the way, your movie
you get the best lightsaber fight with emotional weight. There's good acting.
Your movie
has actual story
Mace Windu being pushed out of a window by a scrotum-faced old man with lightning fingers. My movie has Qui-Gon Jinn experiencing a warrior's death. My
movie has Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker losing each other, and they are brothers that we have met over the course of the franchise. They get to this point, and Obi-Wan has to kill his brother because his brother has
to now fill up your argument. You're bringing
battle.
Has to now fill up your argument.
No, but that happens in my movie. Nico, that happens in my movie. Darth Maul is not that good in your movie. You're saying Darth Maul has an emotional arc in season 6 of the Clone Wars. He does not have an emotional arc in this movie. He is a wasted plot device that kills Qui-Gon Jinn. My movie has emotional stakes, emotional weight, story.
True fighter with rage in his heart that
in season 5 of the Clone Wars and has a good lightsaber fight at the end of the Phantom Menace, like you just said.
Your movie has child murder. Your movie has
child murdering acting. My ears hurt from Jake Lloyd's delivery. Jar Jar Binks is the worst character in Star Wars, and you're trying to undersell one of the most racist, stereotypical characters I've ever seen in film through Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks is annoying. Jar Jar Binks is
portrayal of Anakin Skywalker doesn't have stakes. If you think it really does, though,
there is no stakes. Your whole movie stakes.
Everything that
there's a trade barrier on Naboo. That's the stakes of your movie. No, you get my movie is the galaxy has a political change in leadership.
You get to see
has a lot more stakes.
Go down this dark path. His mom tells him, "Don't look back." What does he do? He looks back, and when he gets to Coruscant for the Jedi Council to
your movie is utterly boring. You're really grasping at straws for stakes, Nico. The whole plot of the movie. The whole plot of your movie, Nico.
And that is part of the motivation as to why he feels so underappreciated.
The whole plot of your movie is that the Jedi have to go fix a problem where people can't communicate trade negotiations. My movie has emotional stakes politically about people and ideology shifting.
Caleb, stop. All right, so I want this your closing statements to be why your movie is better than the other movie and why it is the best of all the prequel films, because episode 2 is kind of there. And I'm going to start with Nico this time.
Does it start when I begin talking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
30 minutes later. 25 minutes a good idea what his movie is.
Hey, my time. The Phantom Menace lays out the groundwork for what you see moving forward. It shows you what Anakin's motivations were as to why he feels so underappreciated by the Jedi Council and why he would become a Sith Lord. It gives you a layering of Padme Amidala that you see built off of moving forward, but not in Revenge of the Sith when she's reduced to a plot device to have Anakin's babies and then die of a broken heart. Liam Neeson, he dies an honorable death at the hands of a Sith Lord, whereas Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu gives the worst movie I'm in total pain scream I've ever heard and then is just chucked out a window by a scrotum head. My movie has an idea of what people do for fun in Star Wars and that they go to watch a pod race, whereas in Revenge of the Sith, if you're a child, you basically die in the movie. If you are a lizard that you can ride on, you die in the movie. And my movie introduces so many characters that you love moving forward.
All right. Caleb, go ahead.
You said your movie has great performances and great characters, but you kept saying that they are good in other things. Your movie itself does not feature a single solid performance except out of maybe Liam Neeson, but Ewan McGregor gets better with every film. When it comes to Revenge of the Sith, there is layered concepts in terms of ideologies. What happens when everything you believe is wrong? What happens when your best friend betrays you? Anakin's story is emotional and layered, and Obi-Wan having to fight him at the end on Mustafar is one of the most emotional lightsaber battles and is the best lightsaber battle from a choreography standpoint and from a story standpoint. Order 66 is one of the most visually sweeping scenes I've ever seen in the Star Wars franchise. With your movie, Jar Jar Binks is a racial stereotype and an awful character. There is no story to your movie. It's about trade negotiations. There is not a single memorable thing about your movie except the lightsaber battle at the end that is only third or fourth best of the franchise. When it comes to Revenge of the Sith, everything in my movie can be kept self-contained and still work cohesively and be viewed well, whereas yours is just wishing for something better.
All right. All right. I haven't gotten to him first, so we're going to start with Hot Takes Ryan on this one.
Please.
I know you guys deserve a break after all. So, wearing those headphones and those hats—that's a lot of work. Anyway, okay, both competitors, I'm going to say both, brought up really good points about each of their respective films, whether it's Revenge of the Sith or whether it's The Phantom Menace. I rewatched the entire prequel trilogy before I knew I was going to be involved in this. So I got some knowledge in this noggin of mine that I'm going to drop. So I will say this. Revenge of the Sith, yes, it has its moments. Phantom Menace has its moments. But for me, I feel like with the closing argument that Nico brought up, when people need to enjoy something, they go to a little something called a pod race, son. That's fun. That's good stuff. He kept bringing up the performance of Qui-Gon Jinn with Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson, one of the best actors working in the world today. He was fantastic in Phantom Menace. The lightsaber duel at the end was fantastic. And Revenge of the Sith, the acting, the story is so cringeworthily bad. Revenge of the Sith, oh my gosh. And the chemistry between Hayden and Natalie, there's, excuse me, there's nothing there. It just doesn't work. So for me, I feel that Nico, can't believe I'm going to say this, Nico, you brought up the better argument. And for me, I would happily give the point to Nico because to me, Phantom Menace is the best of the prequels. Boom.
He based
mic
it
drop.
on what movie he liked more, not argument.
This is why we call him Hot Takes.
All right, so I'm going to give my opinion right now. And for me, at the beginning of the whole argument, it took a while for Nico to not talk about it. But essentially, Nico was just talking about one scene. He was talking about how the battle between Qui-Gon, the battle with Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon.
I'm not good at summarizing stuff.
Well, you were just talking about that one scene for 2 minutes at one point, and it was.
I'm trying to.
It was pretty much like, oh, this scene is why this movie is better, and it was like, but we're not talking about what's the best scene in the Star Wars prequel. We're talking about what is the best Star Wars movie, and then the fact that essentially Kaleb brings up he talks about the battle on Morsafu or whatever it's called. I don't know. Mustafar, yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird
planet. He talks about that scene and then how that scene had more emotional development, and then the entire of episode 1, I thought that was a big point for Kaleb at one point. And then I never really heard Nico rebuttal that, how there is emotional things. He just said oh, there's layered things. Oh, there's this and there's that. I think another point that I enjoyed was the fact
hard to hear over him.
Another point I thought Kaleb brought up that was really good is that how Nico was mentioning the fact that characters were good in other parts. How Jar Jar, for example, oh, he was good at the end, and not in right now. And then how he was talking about Darth Maul. Oh, he was really good in Clone Wars season 6, and then 30 seconds later, oh, he was really good in Clone Wars season 5. I don't know which Clone Wars season it is because it's 2 different ones. I thought that was funny.
I said the same thing about General Grievous.
Yeah, let me talk. Competitors don't talk while we're judging. Okay, cool, yay. But I think closing argument wise, I thought Nico had a better closing argument between the two of them. With the Anakin's motivation, how Padme was just a plot device in episode 3, and then the fact that Mace Windu's death in episode 3 was pretty terrible. But I mean, I felt throughout the fight, I thought Kaleb was just a little bit more talking about the movie as a whole, while especially the first half of Nico's argument was talking about the Duel of the Fates scene. So I will say I'm giving my point at least to Kaleb in this round. And I just want to say one final thing that made me laugh was the child murdering acting. I thought that was really funny. So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Eli, I guess you could decide who's winning this round.
Comes down to you, Eli. Choose wisely.
Okay. So I was hearing the arguments, and I was trying so hard during the debate part to listen to Nico, but Kaleb was just so loud that I couldn't hear Nico, to be honest. And, okay. It seemed like a majority at the very beginning of the debate for about 2 minutes or maybe 2.5. It was all about the performances. And all I was thinking was, I don't care about the performances. I want to know story-wise which one is better. I wanted to know story-wise which one is better. You can say, oh, a movie is just as good as a performance from this actor. I'm like, yeah, that's true. But at the exact same time, I want to know why the story is better. And then slowly, closer to the end of the debate part, we start to get more of the story points of why one movie was better and the other one wasn't. I have to say, because of the story points, Kaleb brought up more story points during the debate, and Nico, during the closing argument, started to bring up more of the closing points. But even in the closing argument, Kaleb still had more points, and he was able to rebuttal most of the arguments that Nico had, and he was able to defend most of his points. So ultimately, in the end, I have to say that Kaleb gets the point.
Well, yeah.
So that means
I will say real quick, Nico, when you brought up the General Grievous thing, I rebutted it by saying even in my movie, I was saying you take him out of the movie entirely, the movie is still better. I said it was a throwaway thing, but anyway, I did. I just wanted to point out that I did rebut your General Grievous comment.
So that means after our 3 first prep rounds, I guess you could say, Kaleb is now in the lead 2-1, but it's going to be the first person to 5 points to win the match, and we are starting with our first speedball question. And that means first one, I kind of just want to let you guys know that I saw timeout. Okay.
Yeah.
Timeout.
I just wanted to say real quick, not even kissing Koho's ass here because you can cut this. Literally, Nico's argument was, look how good my movie is at introducing characters that are better in later times, including when they're better in Revenge of the Sith. So I was like, what the fuck?
Hayden's terrible compared to Jake, though.
And
hey, fuck you.
Sorry, Jake.
Good job, powers that be, who shall not be named.
That was
right.
Nico. I think
so I'm gonna bring us back. That wasn't me. 5,
Nico,
4, 3.
Nice one.
1. All right. So before we go to the speed round questions, I'm
seriously
going to
fucking stop.
All right. So I'm going to call me back in 5 seconds again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So after the first 3 rounds, Kaleb is in the lead with 2 points. Nico is at 1. And before I go, I kind of want to go to our audience today, Jim the Wolf Green, on his thoughts on the first 3 rounds.
It's a very interesting format, and because I've never seen Battlegrounds or anything like that. So the judges are doing an excellent job, and I think that round 2 was a little hokey, but I'm not surprised to see my teammate here, Koho, leading, and I'm looking for a clean sweep through these speed rounds, I suppose, and he'll walk out the victor.
All right, and something that myself and Jim has in common is that we're both going to see Wicked, except I actually just got back from it last night, which is kind of where our first question comes from, and that is, what is the best Disney movie musical?
And how does this work? Before we get countdown, whoever just says one first.
First person to say the movie, they get that movie.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
All right. Kaleb will go first and talk about Beauty and the Beast, but Nico needs to give a movie, and then we'll go from there.
So this one, the speed round, they didn't prepare anything at all.
No,
it's
not at all. We're getting the question. We have to give an answer, and then we have a total of 35 seconds total to talk about our.
Okay.
20 seconds.
20 seconds for the first one, and then 15 for the second one.
All right, so we just need a movie from Nico, Suave, Regoli on the best Disney movie musical.
The Lion King.
All right, so it'll be Beauty and the Beast versus The Lion King. All right, Kaleb, you're getting 20 seconds starting now.
Okay, the thing about Beauty and the Beast is that the music in it is actually very well composed. Every song, every lyric is placed in a way that's catchy, and every vocal performance is great. And taking away from the vocal performances, there's also a really solid story about love and finding it in things that we don't necessarily would see at first sight. It's love is underneath, not on the outside. Lion King, the music by Elton John is fine, but it does not.
Time. All right.
Once you hear time, you stop.
Yes. Nico, starting now.
The Lion King has way more hits than Beauty and the Beast does, and it has a more compelling story. It's basically Game of Thrones in the form of animals, and everyone loves Game of Thrones. You can ask Jim Green over there. The stories of betrayal, family, love, everything. Songs, hits such as I Just Can't Wait to Be King.
Time.
All right, time. All right, rebuttal starting now, Caleb.
Your movie's a ripoff of an anime from Japan, and the songs in it are not hits. You might have hits that were played on the radio more, but the songs in Beauty and the Beast are better written, better performed, better sung, and the story itself is more compelling and more utterly rewatchable than Lion King, where halfway through the movie actually starts getting good, where the first half gets very boring.
Time.
All right, and your rebuttal, Nico.
You say you have better songs, but you didn't list any of them. I can list a bunch right here. I Just Can't Wait to Be King, Be Prepared, Can You Feel the Love Tonight, Circle of Life, obviously, compelling characters such as Simba, Rafiki, Nala.
All right. So that's a very interesting thing. I'm one of the judges. Can you fact check? Is The Lion King actually a ripoff? Can someone check that?
It actually is.
It is a ripoff.
It's a spin-off of Hamlet.
It was supposed to be an adaptation of Hamlet, but there is an anime that it directly is ripping off.
All right, might have to take that into account.
It's like White something.
But
Call of the White Tiger or something. I don't know.
All right.
Is that so?
Yes.
I'm gonna start with Ryan as I kind of compile everything.
Gee willikers. Oh, Caleb, why'd you have to bring up the anime? When Caleb dropped it's a ripoff of an anime on me, I'm like Tim the Toolman Taylor. You know, it's very shocking. Never saw that coming. I knew it was an adaptation of Hamlet, but a ripoff of an anime, which is a genre I have no desire to watch. Jeez, you've got some balls, kid. So yeah, Caleb bringing up that was like a 3-point shot at the end of the NBA Finals. So in this case, I got to give it to Nico. Good arguments, man. But when Caleb dropped the anime, I'm like, ooh, Dolly, that's one for the book. So I give it to Caleb.
All right. So the first point goes to Caleb. All right, Nico. I mean, not Nico. Eli, are you checking that right now? Or are you
verified it? I'm the one who said The Lion King. So yeah, I can verify that he's right on that part.
I am right. It is a ripoff.
Well, I'm looking at it.
Like if you look at it, there's a lot of think pieces on it that you probably don't have a lot of time to read. But I'm saying, like, if you look at it character by character, like on every level of it, there's a lot of similarities to the anime. And
I'm basing it off of one of the co-directors said, and he said he wasn't familiar with the TV show. So
exactly.
I mean, if the directors didn't know about it, I honestly don't know.
Oh, I didn't know about Death Note. I wrote a screenplay that was about a guy writing in a notebook, and it came out 30 years after the Death Note thing. Like, words are words, man. Like, he could be lying entirely.
All right, so I'm gonna let Eli compose his thoughts as I talk about it real quick. For me, for the thing that's sticking in my head, at least right now, is Nico's closing arguments about how this is supposed to be the best Disney movie musical. And while Caleb did bring up how Beauty and the Beast was a very well composed thing, even though no one talked about Hans Zimmer composing the movie of The Lion King, which is kind of surprising because he's kind of.
I don't know composers. Why don't you?
And that is why you lose.
I think. But at the end of the day, a musical still involves songs, and Caleb never brought up the fact he didn't bring up any songs. While Nico did, and Nico brought up the fact that Caleb never talked about them. So I think that is a big sway. And
that's a good point.
Man, if Caleb never brought up the fact that Lion King's a ripoff, I would have had to go Nico. But that is that hit me, man. That really did. Ooh.
It's like a boom, drop the mic moment.
So I have to go with Caleb on this.
Yeah.
So Eli, even though it doesn't count, what is your thoughts?
Rosenberger, what do you got?
You just muted yourself.
Okay. No, it's okay. I had to say something to someone else. Okay. So I know my discussion wouldn't matter, but I was gonna say, yeah, Nico did bring up a lot of the songs, and that really did sway me closer to him. It's like best movie musical. Mention the music and mention the songs, Caleb. You just mentioned the score. I'm like, but Beauty and the Beast is known for like the songs more than the music, and you didn't mention the songs. And even though you did mention Kimba, I'm basing it off of my other knowledge of it, and I'm like, well, based off of everything that I've ever read, every single person that's ever worked on it has said it's not a ripoff. So I'm basing it off of that knowledge that I've read in interviews, and they've said it's not a ripoff, so I'm basing it off of that. So I would have given the point to Nico.
Ooh.
Everyone lies. Eli, everyone lies.
No, look, I'm just basing it off of the interviews. I'm basing
I
it
know,
off
but
of the interviews.
I could shoot a
And-
person, and all the evidence could point
and-
to me, and I can say I didn't do it, even though I did.
And I'm
Alright,
also
Jim.
basing it off of the lawsuit that
You're
never
right.
happened.
Here first, Kaleb Koho shot somebody.
All right, Jim. So if you were a judge tonight, where would you have gone?
Neither of these
wonder.
are correct because the answer is The Little Mermaid.
Jim, we're no longer
I'm disappointed
We're
in my
done.
teammate, and
We're breaking
he
up.
will be getting a stern talking to after this match
We're
because the
breaking
answer is The
up.
Little Mermaid.
Little
Sha-la-la-la-la-la,
Mermaid's awful. We're
kiss the
breaking
girl, part of the world. Yeah.
Honestly,
Gaston. The song Gaston from Beauty and the Beast is better than anything in The Little Mermaid.
That is,
hey, it's
Jim's
about
got a-
time Caleb talked
Jim's
about
got a
the
point,
song
though,
from
Jim.
Beauty and the
All
Beast.
right.
Little Mermaid's a good
New
movie.
question.
But we're going to go to the
New
next
debate
question. Next question is that DC or Worlds of DC have announced that they are making a Supergirl movie.
Oy.
Who should direct that Supergirl movie?
Oof.
Patty Jenkins.
Christopher
Patty
McQuarrie.
Jenkins. And
What was the other one?
Christopher McQuarrie.
Christopher McQuarrie.
Oh, the MI dude. Okay.
all right. Nico, you said Patty Jenkins first, so you get to talk starting now.
Patty Jenkins has already proven that she can make a Worlds of DC movie, specifically a female-led Worlds of DC movie, which is what you need to get the tone right for a character like Supergirl. You need someone who's lived the female experience before, and Supergirl is a character unlike any other and Patty Jenkins can definitely capture that.
Time.
All right, Caleb, starting now.
Christopher McQuarrie has proven he can do action and do compelling storytelling, which he did in Mission Impossible 5 and 6, which just came out, which are some of the best action I've seen in a movie. He also has proven that he can do character work with what she did with Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible 6. The thing about Patty Jenkins is she's already booked making Wonder Woman 1984 and 3 and 4 and 5 and the rest of the Wonder Woman franchise. I want to see someone else tackle Superman, Supergirl, that whole world.
All right. Nico, your rebuttal starting now.
You say your director is good at action. Well, Patty Jenkins has that No Man's Land scene, which is one of the best scenes in all of the DCEU/Worlds of DC. And Supergirl, when with her, you don't want to go Man of Steel with the action. You want to condense it a little bit, but still have good. Yeah.
All right. Caleb, starting now.
Once again, Patty Jenkins is booked up, and the issue is she can't direct a third act of a superhero movie. As we saw with Wonder Woman, Christopher McQuarrie has proved with Mission Impossible Fallout that he can deliver some of the best third act closers and do a consistently good movie all the way across the board with Mission Impossible Fallout and Rogue Nation, and still get to character and story and action and make it one big cohesive masterpiece of a movie.
All right.
I don't think she directed that third.
Shush. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start with this is a super person, and I have to go to the man who thinks Man of Steel is the second best movie in the history of movies because it would be unfair if I didn't. Ryan, whose wins this argument?
That's right, Man of Steel is a masterpiece. Watch out, son. Anyway, to these particular directors and with the specific movie that we're aiming at here with Supergirl, Caleb brought up the fact, or the point, I should say, that McQuarrie can direct a movie from beginning to end, whether it's the character or the action sequences or both put together. Nico only brought up No Man's Land, and then he just said Patty Jenkins can direct action well. You know, Caleb brought up the fact that the third act just falls apart at the end there for www.wonderwoman.com. So, so unfortunately, as much as I did like Wonder Woman to a certain extent, And I was actually surprised that you chose either Macquarie or Patty Jenkins. I was kind of thinking a more left field choice. But then again, Macquarie and Patty Jenkins are no slouches. They know how to do their stuff, respectively. Patty Jenkins killed it with Monster. But I'm going to have to give this one to Kaleb because he brought up more points, went into just a tiny bit more detail as far as what his director does and how he can get from beginning to end, whereas Nico only brought up No Man's Land and just kept saying Patty Jenkins can do this, 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 and this. I'm like, go deeper, man. This is a decent cup of coffee, but I want the cappuccino. Come on. Get deeper, son. Give me the 5-hour energy. But I just couldn't feel it, man. I couldn't feel it. So I'm going to give this one to Kaleb as much as Nico brought up some good points, but Macquarie, he's been killing it in the business right now. Plus, Henry Cavill, Mustache Gate, it's awesome sauce and Fallout. So Kaleb, you get the point, man.
All right, so I'm going to send it to Eli next to give his thoughts.
So I would want to see Patty Jenkins direct the movie. Kaleb did bring up the argument of she's basically booked up to do Wonder Woman, and I don't know if that's true or not. I can't fact check that right now because I'm judging right now. But it seems very much like she could potentially be busy just worrying about Wonder Woman. And Nico did bring up No Man's Land, but when it came to directing Wonder Woman, that's all he brought up. While when Kaleb brought up Christopher McQuarrie, he basically said, "This is what my director can do. My director can do this. And though Kaleb could have also brought up the fact that Christopher McQuarrie wrote Mission Impossible 5 and 6.
I did.
He didn't, and that could have been extra points to him, but he did mention how Christopher McQuarrie can direct this. Whereas Nico only brought up Patty Jenkins did this, and it was great. And she can also direct action, but he didn't get as specific as No Man's Land, so I do have to give the point to Kaleb.
All right, that was Kaleb. Eli giving the point to Kaleb, which means Kaleb has already been awarded the point. So I'll just give my quick thoughts on it. While Nico did say that Patty Jenkins is already proven to develop a woman movie in the worlds of DC, I thought that was a really good point. But then Kaleb came right back at it. She's too busy focusing on that movie. I think Patty Jenkins' time will definitely be filled up focusing on Wonder Woman. I think that's her bread and butter right now. I don't see her leaving Wonder Woman to go do Supergirl. While I think Christopher McQuarrie's pick is a very interesting pick, do action. He said he's good at action and story developments, character arcs. I think strictly like Nico never brought up the fact that like Patty Jenkins would do a Supergirl movie maybe after the Wonder Woman trilogy has came to a close. And if he would have talked about that, then maybe I would have gone Nico's way. But sadly, it was never brought up. So that means Kaleb is getting my point, but he's already gotten the point for this round. Jim, any thoughts?
Koho is correct.
Yeah.
And to the point.
To the point. We
also,
like it.
to clarify,
That is
I want Christopher McQuarrie to do a Superman movie because I think Tom Cruise would be good in it, and I would rather see a female director do Supergirl. But I didn't have any female directors off the top of my head that I could rattle off. And now I'm thinking about it, and Greta Gerwig would be cool. But yeah, anyway.
And he already worked with Henry Cavill on Fallout, which he kicked ass in.
Yes,
so.
he did.
All right. So this point went to Kaleb, and that means the next one is another Disney-related question, and that is.
I hate to sound biased, but come on, Nico.
Also, just saying, if I get this right, it's over. If I win this, it's over.
It is over.
Yeah, and I'm.
Yeah.
He wants this to go into the wee hours of the night, everyone.
Nico.
All right, Nico, you need to prove yourself with this category, and it's in the category of Disney, and that is what is the best Disney villain?
Ooh, that's a good one. Good question.
Scar
for Kaleb.
Ooh.
Oh man.
Dude, you took Jeremy freaking Irons.
Give me a moment, I just need to look up the name.
A name.
Jim
He's
is
googling. He's googling
Do you have
Disney
the movie?
villains. I'm just saying.
There are so many villains and so many names to keep track.
Mother Gothel from
Well,
Tangled.
he probably has the
Oh.
movie, but
Mother
he doesn't-
Gothel from Tangled. Ooh, this is
Is that wait a minute? Is that a real character?
Mother Gothel.
Yes, it is.
Oh my god!
Mother
I thought
Gothel.
So that means we have Scar versus Mother Gothel, and the best Disney villain. Caleb, you are starting now.
Okay. When I talk,
Yes.
Scar's a more layered and complex villain. The performance from Jeremy Irons gives him a more definitive edge with a bit of nuance, suave charisma to it. The thing about Mother Gothel is that she's just an emotionally manipulative, like wannabe immortal kind of character that doesn't really seem menacing at all. Scar is very menacing. He killed a fool. Gothel tries.
Time,
tries.
stop.
All right, Nico, starting now. Nico, I'm going to give you a 5 count. 5, 4.
Mother Gothel played the long game. She kept a child. First off, she kidnapped a child. Secondly, she kept that child in a tower for 18 years. That takes some serious villainous balls right there. And she harnessed the power of this child's hair to just stay youthful for so long, so long. Yes,
Time.
your character killed somebody.
All
but
right, rebuttal. Starting now with Caleb.
Scar also played the long game. He only just waited a little bit longer because his plan wasn't stupid. He went for the kill at the moment that he saw the opportunity. He waited and took his time to find the way to usurp power. And once he killed the king, he also got rid of the prince. He's a lot smarter, a lot cleaner. Gothel messed up and let her free.
All right,
Stop.
Nico, rebuttal. Starting now.
Stockholm Syndrome is just as bad, if not worse than murder, depending on your point of view. Fuck, I had a brain fart.
Still going, right? Yeah.
He's got this. He's got this. I'm done. I'm done.
All right.
Time.
Nico kind of giving up on his closing argument. Will that have a factor? We will get into that. I just want to give a couple honorable mentions that I felt like Nico could have gone for. He could have gone from Ursula from The Little Mermaid, Shere Khan from either of the Jungle Books. I felt like those would have been great. Maleficent.
Jafar.
My second choice, because I realized that we were doing live action as well, is Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean.
That could have been another option. This was any Disney villain. I felt like there's a lot of them, and he went for Mother Gothel of Tangled. But, Caleb went for Scar. I think Nico could have brought up the fact that he was talking about Jeremy Irons' performance, and then Nico could have just came back, well, then why isn't he back for the remake if he was so good? They changed that out for, I believe, Chewie Theology 4. It might be wrong on that.
Which is a mistake.
Yeah, that is.
So Nico could have brought that up if he really wanted to get back on the performance level of Scar. But Nico did kind of bow out at the end of the closing arguments, and with that, I feel like no one should ever give up, and that's why I had to give the point to Caleb. And now I'm going to go to Eli.
Man, I just want to go ahead and give it to Nico, but I gotta judge fairly, and Caleb did have the best argument for why Scar's the better villain. At the very beginning, Nico did have a very good argument with Stockholm Syndrome is just as bad as murder, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. You could have continued on that fact and the way that she was playing the long game, but he didn't. He sort of just gave up at the end. So because of that, I have to give the point to Caleb.
Yeah, all right. So that means Caleb is definitely your winner of this match of the very first inaugural Nerdgasm, not Phantom Fights. I can't talk. It's late. But yeah, so Caleb has won, but I still want to go to our other people here today to see where they would have gone. I'm going to go to Man of Steel himself, Ryan.
Yeah, as soon as Caleb brought up some points about Scar, I pretty much figured it was hate to say it, Nico, I love you, man, but it was a done deal. And Nico, you tried your best. Mother Gothel from Tangled, a movie I haven't seen in 1,000 years because it's a very forgettable film. It's not even that good. Lion King, the name's in the title, King. One of the greatest films of all time, one of the best animated films of all time for sure. Scar is a great villain. Jeremy Irons has won 1 million awards. He's one of the CM Punks of acting, best in the world. Dropping some wrestling knowledge on you, son. Yeah, dude, I gotta say, Caleb, you beat him straight up. Pay him. Pay that man his money. So yeah, Caleb, you won, man. And if you caught that reference, anyone out there, congrats. You know your movies.
All right. And before I talk to our players today, I'm going to go to Jim. Thoughts on the match, thoughts on the winner, thoughts on the last question.
I'm not surprised that my possibly former teammate Koho won this match because yet again gets a point picking the wrong villain. The only villain you are allowed to pick there is Team Iceland in Mighty Ducks 2. Thank you. Good night.
You're right. You're right. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, it's so out of left field, but I love it.
He's right. He's right.
Team Iceland from Mighty Ducks 2.
Iceland is a villain. That is so good.
That would have been very cool to argue about. I think that
coach
shows that
was
we
mean,
need.
man. That coach was nasty.
I feel like that shows that we need Jim Green on Nerdgasm. And Caleb, you run the show. This is your show. How would you feel about Eli McCaig versus Jim Green in a Nerdgasm match?
Book it.
I definitely want to see that. I will book that. I want to book Ryan versus you. I want to book a few matches right now. So yeah, I mean, I if we could, I'd shoot 5 of these back to back to back because they're so fun. This is fun to play. This is fun to host. I definitely want to book more of these matches, and these are fun. These are really, really fun.
All right, Caleb was a very passionate winner today, and I want to go to you. This is your show. You kind of already talked about some bookings. What are some of your other thoughts for the future of this show?
My hope is to make this a regular kind of upload factor, just kind of another facet for fandom so that we can have more discussions within fandom rather than talk about what we know about movies, talk about what we love about movies in a sense, and why some movies are better than others, why some characters are better than others, opinions, thoughts, stuff like that. I definitely want to see Nico back because that was good, especially in the pitch round. That was solid. I definitely want to see Eli and Jim. I want to see Cain and Ryan. I'm not even kidding. I think that would be a really fun matchup because hot takes versus cold takes. This is going to be good. That's
pretty cool.
There's no such thing as cold takes.
I either want to do Ryan versus Cain or Ryan versus Jake, but then it's just going to be the battle of hot takes. So so I might do this actually. I might do Ryan versus Cain and Jake versus just Dominic Rizzi or someone who also wants to get in. So then then the winner of each hot take battle plays each other in the hopes that it's hot take versus hot take.
Wow.
But we'll see. It'll be fun. I definitely want to get more people in. If you like this and you want to see more, like, comment, share, let us know what you like, what you think could change. If you want to play, let us know because I am so down to get more people in on this outside of the regular fandom trivia community. I'd like to get people in who just love movies that maybe we've never seen around here. So if you're very interested in debating geek-related stuff, and that whether it be movies or TV, let us know. We will book you in a Nerdgasm debate. So yeah, it'll be fun.
And there's another Nerdgasm match that was originally supposed to be the first match that hopefully will still happen.
I hope it will happen, but I don't want to tell them what it is, and I don't want to tell them what it is in the hopes that they get their hopes up and then it not happening. So
hopefully that will happen, but if not, you never knew. You never knew.
It's a mystery.
But I do want to go to
you
our.
Never knew that you never knew that we had booked a Nerdgasm match 4 months ago and then didn't shoot it.
Yeah, it was supposed to.
That's a long time.
Fights.
We've been sitting on Nerdgasm since June. So.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nico, you came, you saw, and sadly,
you gave it your best effort, man.
Like you have never lost a Nerdgasm question that involved TV, so that's interesting. That's cool. That's a fun fact. If you get more Arrowverse ones, I think you can run the table because clearly Caleb knows nothing. He never mentioned Arrow.
I know them.
Flash.
I just didn't think I needed to say them.
Am I going to get to say anything within my own interview here?
Yep.
Can you please ask me a question so I can give you an answer?
Nico, chill. Okay, question. How do you feel that Jeffrey Dean Morgan will never be brought up ever again in the history of trivia?
Yeah. This is it.
That is a relief. Though I wouldn't be surprised if one more Jeffrey Dean Morgan question was thrown into an upcoming Fandom Fight match, or hell, even Jake Brangoni might be watching this and he's like, let me see how I can sneak this into Warzone. And just This is like my 6th attempt at a debate format show, and it just, I don't know what it is, but it's just I'm not focusing on like the right things to argue, or if I'm just running out of gas, or if everyone's just like faster on their feet and their mouths. But like, I don't know. It just, something about debates is not a lucky situation for me, and I've kept. I don't know why I keep coming back. Maybe it's just out of hopes that finally it'll be the day that I get the win. But I don't know why I said yes to Aaron Connell when he asked, "Do you want to be in another movie battleground match?" Personally, no, but I said yes anyway because I'm afraid of shit like this happening again. I keep trying, and it just keeps going the other way. I feel like Hunter Chambliss in actual trivia matches. I just can't seem to get I can't get the nod, and it sucks. It sucks.
I do want to say that a lot of your things were pretty close. It just came down to a couple things, especially the best movie musical from Disney. I thought that was a very, very close one. And honestly, like, I was on the fence the whole time about who I was going to decide. So, like, you almost got there, and then next thing you know, you might win the next one, and then you might have to win the next one, and you win the whole match, for all we know. But
and who knows? Maybe you just need to get booked in matches, these type of matches where it's just pitching story ideas.
Yeah, because like
That's not worked out for me either. Ask Cody Newberry.
Hey, I mean, I'm just saying, like, your pitch for the Arrowverse crossover actually sounds really good, no matter what Caleb thought. I would love to see Chip in the Arrowverse.
I have a full written down thing that I did not get to go word for word on because I suffer from mushmouth syndrome whenever I'm in one of these environments. But I can show you what I have written down once we're done here, and I think you'll really appreciate what I wrote in the full context of everything.
And that sounds very interesting. And I don't know when the next time you guys will see a Nerdgasm match, hopefully soon, but I kind of want to just go to final thoughts from everyone here on the panel. I definitely want to start with the man who runs the show. It's not me. It's Kaleb Koho, Nerdgasm. Any final thoughts you should say about it to hype people up, or just thoughts on today?
Definitely, we're going to try this out. We're going to start. This is just a test. This was kind of a test run. We're going to get better and different from here. But I definitely think that this is not going away, that we'll see several episodes of this. This is something new that's going to stay right here on Multiplex. And I'm really excited to see what crop of competitors pop up and are interested in interest in doing a Nerdgasm match. I can't wait to host a lot more of these. And I can't wait to see what sort of questions that we can come up with. People who want to throw out hot takes like Ryan, or unconventional picks like Jim, or who can pitch like Nico, or talk fast like Eli and I, or just sit there and give all the Shrek 2 opinions like Cain. But it's going to be fun. So if you like a movie, if you have a movie that you like more than anyone else, if you have an unpopular opinion about something, this show is for you. It's a forum for us to talk about the nerdy movies that we love, that we not necessarily have to know every composer or cinematographer about, but know why we love it, and talk about how much we love it and why it's a good movie. And that's what Nerdgasm is about. That's why it's going to be right here, and that's why you're going to want to play. But in terms of where you can find me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Kaleb Koho. That is KalebKoho. You can also find me on YouTube, Kaleb Koho, where I do music, vlogs, stuff like that. You can find me on YouTube also at Koho Productions, where I do videos on film trailers, reactions, stuff like that. You can also find my movie Chick Bar Deux out on Kaleb Koho and Koho Productions right now. You can watch that for free. And you can also find my album Shoot for Teams, not for free, but on iTunes and Spotify with my group, The Forks. Shoot for Teams by The Forks. You can find that on all your digital media where you consume your music. And you can also find me everywhere here at Multiplex, running Fandom Fights, running Nerdgasm, running Let's Make a Movie, hosting it with Cain and Jake. You can find me hosting Fantasy Football with Tim every Wednesday, which Cain, Nico, and Jim are going to be on Wednesdays right here on Multiplex. You can also find me and Cain doing a podcast called Get It Right the First Time. It's going to be an awesome show where we talk about a movie that one of us has just watched for the first time and the other one loves, or we talk about movies that we love. It's kind of a free-flowing show where we talk about movies, and what we're going to do is at the end of the year put out our ranking of the movies that we talk about on the show. So you're going to want to listen to that. It'll be here on Multiplex, and our first episode is about Avengers Infinity War, so you're going to want to watch that. And that's all from me.
I see what you did there with that snap. I see that. I didn't know that was the name. But I'm going to go to our unfortunate loser, Nico, Suave, Regoli. Where can the kids find you at? Is there any other things you want to hype up about around the league or anything else that you're doing on Multiplex? And I'm just going to let you talk.
Well, you can find me losing to Chris Clark on Late Night with Take 3 debates until the end of time. You can not find me in Dance Off. You can probably find me coming back here against my better judgment. Same goes for Movie Battleground. But in all seriousness, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Suave Regoli. That's NicoSuaveRegoli. And you can find me helping run things here on Multiplex Entertainment. That's the name of the Facebook group and the YouTube channel. The Twitter is at MultiplexYT. The Instagram is at Multiplex Entertainment Network. I, along with Cain, am working on various t-shirt designs for our TeePublic, which the address is just Multiplex. And you can find me hosting Around the League every Sunday at the most random times of day. We'll try to schedule them at better times of day. And you can find me helping Tim Smith and Nancy Ballon from time to time hosting Movie Battleground. I am one of the main hosts. Dan Skiballon is our question writer. He does a great job. And, Mayhem at the Multiplex. That's coming up, too, unless we air this afterwards, in which case edit that part out.
All right, I think it's going to go up beforehand, and I'm going to send it over to Eli.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm Eli McCaig, the showman, blah, blah, blah. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Eli Mac. You can find me on Instagram. I think it's at Mr. Eli Mac. I don't know what's so funny, but we're going to laugh anyway. And you can find me on YouTube at Mr. Eli Mac. Or, okay, you can just find me everywhere at Mr. Eli Mac. I don't really post a lot on YouTube. I'm going to try to do better, but who knows. And you can find me eventually. I think it's about to come out. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a worldwide movie trivia match. It's Book of Eli versus The Revenant. And I don't know if that's about to come out soon or not. We'll find out. If not, well then. But yeah, you can find me places. You can find me places, you know. Yeah, that's
I'm sorry, Eli. Jim's just really funny. You said the showman, and he did the little Greatest Showman pose. That's why I was laughing.
I didn't even see it. He's just frozen on my screen.
Oh, yeah, he's been just being funny. And I got to go to Hot Takes Ryan for your closing thoughts on everything.
Yes, sir. This was a fun match. Good times here. I was very happy to be a part of it. Thank you so much for having me. Congratulations to both competitors, not just the winner, but to both of you, because both of you guys are awesome-tacular. Keep up the good work. You can find me on Facebook at Ryan Permison. That's RyanPermison. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Make sure you're following us on our YouTube channel at Nerd Culture. We do movie reviews, TV reviews, video games, comic books, anything nerdy. We talk about it. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram at It's Nerd Culture, and a whole lot of other stuff coming your way very soon. So hope to see you there, and thanks for having me.
Thanks for showing up, and I get to go to the man who makes everyone laugh except for Nico. Jim, anything you want to say that might make us laugh?
There is a team match that recently happened that one and only Eli brought up, which I was a part of as well, and that may or may not have been spoiled because somebody went live at 8 a.m. in the morning and said the spoilers of it, but you don't know that, and this will be out after that, so by the time you watch this, you're probably going to know what's already happened. So, so watch that because I think that match was fun and awesome. And Case is awesome, and Jeremy writes amazing questions. And speaking TV, watch TV matches. We posted one a few weeks ago that was Nico. You saw losing to Zadius, and so Zadius is going to play me, and that will hopefully air sometime soon, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, that is very true. it should be very interesting to see that. I don't know what it is with matches involving Jim Green where they get spoiled. That's very interesting.
Wonder why.
I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to say that this has been very fun. You can find me pretty much at where anyone else has already said. And I hope you guys enjoy this. Next time, Caleb's going to host because it's his show. But he was playing, and very last minute because Jim was playing Madden. So we could have had Jim versus Nico for the billionth time. But nope, Madden happened. And I'm just gonna stop here. Like, we're just going to cut it in 3, 2, 1, bye.